Man, today I'm really excited for the stream because I just have so much to talk about. You won't even believe it. I'm like the first half of this stream is probably just going to be me gushing over yesterday, man, because for those of you who don't know, and I talked to some of y'all in the community in the DMs about this. I talked to a lot of my fellow FF7 fans. I was elated. I went to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Orchestra yesterday. Oh my god, and yeah, there you go. There's the shirt I got from there, wearing it to the stream, real happy. And I just gotta say, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. My intention with the beginning of the stream here was to do a sort of like review, if you will, of it. Largely, like I said, I'm just going to be gushing over the event itself, but also kind of want to give you a review because I enjoy doing that kind of stuff, right? Making review-based content. To tell you all the truth, right? For those of you who might want to watch this for, you know, a review, prepare for this to be a really short one. It's more than a 10 out of 10. It was a 15 out of 10. It was a 20 out of 10. As I would say with my review scale, must play masterpiece, or in this case, I guess I should say must watch masterpiece. This was absolutely out of this world. So there you have it. For those of you looking for the review, there you go. Stop what you're doing right now. If you're a fellow FF7 fan, go get your tickets because you owe it to yourself, right? If you're a fellow FF7 fan like I am, god dang. And I think they're going to Europe next with the Orchestra World Tour. So yeah, to any of my European buddies out there, definitely cop yourselves a ticket. Go watch this because I'm telling you, it might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's the way I viewed it. And you won't regret it. You will love this. I'm telling you. So let me back up here a little, right? To give you a little bit of context, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Addy, and Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. So by extension, Rebirth, I immensely enjoyed it, right? I freaking adored the game. I think it turned out to be a game that surpassed even what my wildest dreams for a game like that could look like. It blew me away. It really did. And so I was elated when I heard that there was this event happening here in Toronto. So I'm from Canada and I live around Toronto. So when I heard this summer that there's this world tour happening and that they're coming to Toronto in September, so the event was yesterday on the 19th. My friend told me about this, by the way. Tuesday, big shout out to him. He's the dude who got me into streaming in the first place and who told me about the event. Just so many things I have to be grateful to him. So big shout out there. To the point, one of my best friends ever. Keep on keeping on, brother. Yeah, so because of him, I immediately copped tickets as soon as I could, and I got the coolest seat ever, by the way. I got seat F7 as soon as I saw that on the mezzanine floor of the hall. So for those of you who don't know what that is, that's a little higher up, so you get a really nice view of everything. I was like, this was meant to be. This is fate calling to me, man. 7 seconds till the end. Insert whatever Sephiroth mumbo jumbo about fate here. This is meant to be. So I copped that, and I also got some tickets for my mom and brother, even though my mom's not a gamer, my brother is, but he's never played FF7, because I felt that, you know, I don't have any friends IRL who are into this game, and I would be okay going alone, but I feel like I would be a little sad if I did. So I took my family with me, and that said, please take someone with you if you can, because these events are so much more fun when you do something like that, right? They're really way more special than they already are. So that's what I did. I got tickets, and I was counting down the days since then, since like I think it was June when I got them. And yesterday it finally happened. This was actually my very first orchestral experience. This was my first time witnessing anything like this. Of course, I've been to other kinds of concerts in the past. I've been to other auditoriums and stuff like that for different kinds of shows, but man, I've never ever been to an orchestra before, let alone one for a video game. So, and I was kind of talking about this with some of my friends when I was messaging them, you know, to be able to see an orchestra for the first time through the lens of Final Fantasy VII, it's just such a surreal and amazing experience. Like, I just feel so incredibly grateful that I got to experience this the way that I did. I wouldn't trade being able to experience an orchestra for the first time like this with anything. Truly was a magical experience. I loved it. So yeah, first time going to an orchestra. I mean, I'm sure orchestras in general are wonderful, beautiful, but it's when you go for one that has music you can resonate with, and you know, the music of Final Fantasy VII and by extension Rebirth is already so resonant and powerful. It's when you go for those that orchestras that just hit so much harder, right? So I had really high expectations going in, but this freaking surpassed them in every way imaginable. So this is basically yeah, like I said before, the review portion is going to be short at the beginning, and we're pretty much past that. Like I said, 20 out of 10. Definitely, you guys, if you're interested in going for this, if you're a fellow FF7 fan and you heard about this, you're thinking about going, absolutely do. It's worth every penny. Some tips, by the way. Make sure that you go early, number one, especially if it's in like an urbanish area, right? It's down in the city, downtown somewhere. Go early. I think we left like 2 hours early and we still barely made it, but your mileage may vary. It depends on where you live and stuff like that, but I would recommend going early. Number one, so of course you're not late to the show, of course. But number two, so that you can also get merch, right? Please, if you go for this, get yourself a shirt, get yourself a little something. I actually got a Sephiroth plushie, check it out. And you know, I know what you might be saying, Addy, you already got Sephiroth in the background, you couldn't think of anything else to buy from the kiosk? I'm sure there were a lot of things there. You'd be right, there were quite a few things, but a lot of them are sold out. I actually wanted a Chocobo plushie. I saw a super adorable one there. Unfortunately, I couldn't snag it because they were, like I said, all sold out. So I settled for this, and I love him. I had a choice between Sephiroth and Cloud, and I went, you know what? I want something for my background. I already got Cloud on the bike. I have Cloud's face on the, not the Compendium, sorry, the Ultimania. So I got enough Clouds. Not the white fluffy Clouds, this guy. The blonde spiky hair dudes. I got enough of them in the background, but I only got one man, the myth, the maniac, who's Sephiroth. So adding another cute one to the collection in order to offset the great evil. Looks good. Make sure you get there early. Make sure you buy yourself some merch. The line is long, by the way, before the show. Make sure if you want to get merch, go in between, because you might think, okay, if the line's long at the start, I'll just go to the show, watch the show, and then after it's over, I'm gonna go buy the merch when everyone's headed out. The problem with that is everything's going to be sold out, right? It's likely that a lot of stuff is going to be sold out. Make sure you go in the middle during the 20-minute intermission. I know it might sound tight, so there's one 20-minute intermission in between. Make sure you go then, because the line isn't very long. It's still quite long, but relative to before the show and after, it isn't super duper mondo long. Get yourself something nice. Please, please, please. You owe it to yourself. Do not leave without buying merch if you're in a position to be able to do so. So yeah, those are just some logistical things that I want to say about going to the event, on top of just telling you guys my my personal score of the event. It surpasses a 10 out of 10 in every which way imaginable. Absolutely. Almost, it feels like a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and it might be for you as well. You don't want to miss this. If you're a fellow FF7 fan, like I said, please go and watch this. It's so good, especially if you liked the music in the game, which I'm sure, like, anyone who has FF7 as one of their favorite games, it's up there as one of their favorites because of the music, right? Because of on top of everything else, obviously, the music. Uematsu's the GOAT. Yes, we all know. That's one of the chief reasons. So, and they freaking knocked it out of the park. They did it so much justice. So yeah, what this event was the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Orchestra World Tour, like I said. So this, I believe, began 1 month ago in LA, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like August 9th or 10th, and yesterday came to Toronto. So they were touring all over the US, I'm pretty sure. And then I don't know if they had performed anywhere else in Canada. I don't think they have. I was speaking to someone who was sad that they didn't go to Vancouver. I'm sorry, my friends in Vancouver. I really hope they perform elsewhere. I don't even, dude, I am aware that there was a remake one as well a couple of years ago, which in hindsight, I really wish I got to go, but I don't know if it was in Toronto or not, because I didn't see advertisements and stuff for it on the internet. So maybe it didn't come to my area. I'm hoping that's the case so that I feel less bad about missing it. I really am, but I digress. This was the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Orchestra World Tour, organized by Square Enix and I forget the name of the production company, AWR Music, AMR Music, something like that. And so it was the Toronto Symphony Orchestra playing it, playing a bunch of tracks from the video game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Pretty much every single standout track you can think of, all the powerful resonant tracks, all the memorable ones. Like I said, pretty much anything and everything that you can think of off the top of your head from the game, they played here. Even some of the things you would not expect them to have played, which, dude, I'm not going to tell you guys what they are now. I'm going to, like, because of spoilers in case anyone wants to go, but I will do a little spoiler segment towards the end of my, spiel here about the whole thing yesterday. But, yeah, like, without giving anything away right now, oh my god, there were some songs they played which were fan favorites, and some of y'all may know what I'm already talking about, just from the way I'm describing it. They played some songs from the game that people hold near and dear for the fact that they're just so charming and playful and endearing. Those ones. And that one specifically, yes, about a four-legged... I'm already giving it away almost, so I'm going to stop here, but I'll tell you guys exactly what it is in the spoilers section. Oh, it was so good. So yeah, it was a symphonic arrangement of not every single, but a large majority of pieces from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which was obviously composed by Mitsuto Suzuki and Masashi Hamauzu, who of course arranged a bunch of original tracks for the game, being the masters that they are, and a bunch of tracks that I freaking loved, as well as bringing back a lot of the classics from Final Fantasy VII that were composed by the one and only legendary Nobuo Uematsu. And this whole thing was conducted by, I believe the name of the gentleman was Arnie Roth. Super awesome dude. I loved him. He had so much electric energy on stage when he was conducting. He was so passionate, and he just had such a great sense of humor too. Lovely dude. And so did the instrumentalists by extension. And they were, of course, an ensemble. Since this was an orchestra, they were an ensemble of a pretty traditional orchestra. So woodwinds, strings, brass, and then what else? Yeah, percussion, choir, which, by the way, I was blown away by the choir. Choir, and then strings, of course. So pretty traditional orchestra. And you know what? I figured let's go through some pictures that we managed to take at the event, and I'll basically comment over them since we're kind of going into details about the event. Like, at this point, I kind of just want to go through what the general experience was like. I hope the music's coming in too. I'm just playing some chill Queen's Blood music, which just the beginning portion of it, nice and chill, because it's from the game. And I know we're not at the spoilers section yet. I'll just say it. Quick, tiny spoilers here. Plug your ears for 2 seconds if you don't want them. But yes, they freaking played Queen's Blood at the orchestra, and it was epic, man. It was so sick. They played Queen's Blood in all its glory, including this little chill beginning portion here. I forget what this is called, my apologies, as well as the part where it's swelling and it's super epic and sick. Oh my god, it was so good. But here we go. So yeah, as you can see, this was the stage. Here were all the musicians, Arnie Roth in the middle there, and it was a multimedia event. I should have mentioned that. So there was a big screen above them, and the screen basically played clips from the game, cutscenes from the game, gameplay from the game that corresponded to the songs that they were playing, and sometimes didn't. Sometimes the songs that they were playing weren't from the scenes they were showing on the screen, but thematically were corresponding, and that was super dope. I had chill, dude. Oh, I have chills just thinking about how awesome this was. It was so good, you guys. Like I said, I'm sorry. I sound like a crazy person. I'm gushing over this right now. I have never wanted... Okay, this was 2.5 hours, right? So it started at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and it went until 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Or no, 10. It went from 7:30 to 10. I don't know why I'm telling you guys Eastern time. It doesn't matter. Well, whatever. It went from 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I have never in my entire life, in any performance I've ever been to, I forget performance, even like any theater auditorium setting, even for like a film, like a movie with popcorn and shit at a theater, I have never felt 2.5 hours go by faster. I haven't. This was the fastest 2.5 hours, and granted, there was a 20-minute intermission in between, like I said, where I went out and bought some merch and stuff, but even including that, I have never felt 2.5 hours go by faster in my entire freaking life, because I was just naturally having so much fun. And this is, like, I think the best performance I've been to in my whole life, you guys. I'm not even kidding. It's the greatest experience, one of the greatest experiences of my life, and the greatest performance I have been to. Fuck. like 2.5 hours. I've never felt go by faster, and I've never wanted something not to end so badly. Like, I'll tell you this. When it started, how do I say this without spoilers? Slight minor spoilers, okay? When they started the event, when they started the performance, the very first thing they did was they played the opening sequence of the game. So they kind of went chronologically for like the first 20 minutes of the show. They began, the theme they opened with was the introductory theme that plays at the very beginning of Rebirth. I guess I can say what it is in the game, right? Because enough time has passed. It's where Cloud is like, you know, riding out of the window in the Hardy Daytona, and it's like super epic and stuff, and it's that CG cutscene. Then it cuts to Zack's timeline, and he's carrying Cloud on his shoulder, and then the title pops up, right? They played everything, you know, beat for beat, second for second, exactly how it sounded when you played the game at the very start of it. That's how they played it with this orchestral arrangement. And my God, it sounded exactly like in the game. Like, there were times throughout this performance where I no shit forgot that I was in a live setting listening to a live performance. And musicians, I love you guys. You guys are freaking, like, so much respect for all y'all. Like, everything you did in this show, absolute masters. So much love for you guys, but I'm sorry, my eyes, because the screen was so big, my eyes were glued to the screen, and I was trying so hard to look at what the musicians were doing, right? But because I love Final Fantasy VII so much, and I can play it any number of times, essentially, my eyes were glued to the cutscenes and the gameplay on the screen, and I felt like I was playing the game all over again. I really did. And it didn't even feel like I had to remind myself, like I said, that I was not playing the game and I was not listening to music that was pre-recorded from the game, and that I was actually listening to music being made right in front of my eyes. You know what I mean? By live human people. That's how good these performers were, man. I tell you, it's fucking insane how much what they were doing in a live setting sounded like it was crisp pre-recorded audio playing directly from the game. It was insane, especially the beginning. It was so much so, right, that I had chills, number one, throughout the entire event. I had chills, and my beard, I literally have chills right now on facial hair talking about it. I was trying so hard not to start crying, man. It was that powerful, right? It was really, like, call me weird, but this is how much Final Fantasy VII means to me. And I know some of y'all out there might be able to relate when it comes to the music, especially tracks. If you're watching this, your clip of what the Cosmo Canyon scenario and Rebirth and everything, I totally get you, man. Oh, like, I was holding back tears when they started the performance and the camera's panning down and you hear the introductory notes of the bombing run theme, the iconic ones from, you know, during the point where Zack is carrying Cloud, during that portion. I was trying so hard not to bawl, and I posted a tweet about this on Twitter. I won't pull it up right now, actually, but if you guys go to my Twitter, you'll probably see my immediate live thought after watching the event. It was a gif of Danny DeVito, like, clapping while crying. And I was like, this was basically me after every single performance in the show tonight, because it really was. I was like, my eyes were misty AF, man. I had so much mist in my eyes from start to finish, because it was just so incredibly touching and powerful throughout it all. FF7 and its music just means so much to me, and it really is enrapturing and something that has gotten me through so many, you know, highs and lows in my life, and something I'll carry with me forever. Sorry to get sappy there, but yeah, FF7 music, and by extension the rearrangements of it for Rebirth and Remake, absolutely, you know, touched my heart, and forever and always will. So yeah, man, it was freaking ethereal, out of this world experience. These guys, like, nothing but the highest of commendations in the world for them from me. The freaking maestros, so good. I freaking love everyone here in this picture, and even some of them who might have gotten cropped out on the side. I'm sorry. So there's picture number one. That was the stage with all the performers, and there's me. Hey, look, proof that I actually went, and that I'm not a madman talking about some crazy ass dream I had last night. So this actually, my mom took this a little bit later into the show as well. This photo was later into the show as well. Massive props to my, like, shout out to my mom, by the way, because she's super into taking photos and stuff, and she takes some nice pictures. She managed to get this lovely picture at the very end, basically, with the composer, everyone on stage. Dude, best mom in the world. And we're about to touch on that a little more in a second here. You'll see what I mean. But yep, there's me. There's the stage. Here's another one of me. So yeah, this was before. And some of y'all might have seen this picture already. I posted this to Twitter and sent it to some of y'all FF7 friends in the DMs. But yeah, I was so happy to be there, man. And I was like, I was tapping my toes waiting for them to start. A really cool thing that I can say about this one is I know you don't see a lot of performers on stage right now. They started to trickle in slowly but surely at the beginning. For anyone who's seen an orchestra in its entirety before, like I hadn't been to one before this in person, but I'd seen clips and stuff, right? And I used to play in a school band myself. Right before everyone shows up and the show officially begins, everyone's warming up on stage, right? So you just hear people playing random excerpts and things, just making sure their instruments work. It was so nice. There's one dude who was playing Costa del Sol on repeat, like da 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 da, and I think it was a guy with a saxophone, and I loved it. And I wish I could, like, this is why, you guys, listen to me. If you're thinking about going to this, and if you have any friends who love FF7 as well, please go with them, because there's so many moments throughout it all, even like before they show up on stage, where you can gush over the smallest of details with them. Like, I wish I had some friends with me so I could go, yo, they're playing Costa del Sol. Like, I wanted to do that so many times, but I couldn't, obviously. But still, man, oh my god, I'm so glad I could go for this and go with my mom and my brother. To kind of expand on that a little bit, like I said, yeah, my mom's not a gamer, but she is super into film and literature and just, stories in general, storytelling. And she can absolutely empathize with my love for video games, because she's in love with the power that rich stories have from the mediums of film and literature. So she understands where my love for games come. We have a super wholesome relationship, my mom and I, where it's like, she says, and I say the same thing, that if she were my age in this generation, if she was growing up like me in this, like as a Gen Z kid, she would probably be into video games. Like, she was born a couple generations early before video games were like in their prime, to where she couldn't experience them the same way she's experienced and loved films and books. It's really, really wholesome. And she understands my love for the game and everything, so I'm glad I could take her so I could show her a little more of what it is that I love exactly, and why it is that she would love this stuff too if she, grew up with this stuff. And she totally got it, because she's super awesome, and it was so fun. Like, one of the reasons I had chills throughout it all was because, like, damn, I'm showing this to my mom, dude. It was like, never touched a video game in her life. How cool is that? And of course my brother, man, like, huge shout out to my brother, because without him I probably wouldn't be playing video games. He and I are like a generation apart. He's like a millennial. There's like an 8-year difference between him and I. So he used to play games pretty much before my generation. I would watch him, like, as a 2-year-old, play all these retro games on the PS1. Like Final Fantasy 7, Legend of Dragoon. He never finished FF7, but still, like, FF9, he loves that one. FF10 on the PS2, he loves that too, and I still gotta play that. Tells me it's an amazing game. So many people do. But yeah, sadly, he never got around to finishing FF7, and he's not played Remake nor Rebirth, so... but he is familiar with the characters and the premise and stuff, and some of the songs too. He loves the what's it called, Those Who Fight theme, the battle theme from Final Fantasy 7, the classic one, the da 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 da, that one, as well as Those Who Fight Further, like, who doesn't, right? The Airbuster boss theme, which I'm gonna say neither of those two were here in the Rebirth event. My brother was a little bit surprised by that too, but it makes sense. I'd imagine they were played during the remake concert, right? Simply because those are like the most iconic battle themes that literally the original starts with, and remake does too. And Rebirth has its own set of... I'm sure they played again in Rebirth at some point. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Rebirth naturally has its own set of battle arrangements and stuff that they really wanted to showcase here, because this was a celebration of Rebirth and not remake. So for any of you all like my brother out there maybe, who are like, oh, we can't wait to hear the iconic Those Who Fight theme, and Those Who Fight Further, and maybe Ahead on Our Way, like the really beautiful Calm theme, like Calm of the K, the location. None of those are here. Those are, I'd imagine, in the remake event, and anyone who might see this on YouTube, who might have seen the remake event, you can let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong. I'll probably even look this up too, because I'm curious. I think they were played in the remake one. But yeah, regardless, every theme here, like I said, so good, man. I could not believe what I was hearing. Absolutely freaking incredible. Yeah. just from start to finish, I had chills. My eyes were misty. The production was unbelievably cool, right? Just seeing all these clips and scenes from the game, you know, above all the performers and stuff. A totally ethereal experience, and like, I go watch it. Go watch this. Yeah, I will say some interesting observations, and these, like, disclaimer, these are not criticisms. I think everything was perfect about this, but some really interesting observations, right? So like I said earlier, this was a symphonic arrangement, meaning they took all the tracks, all the songs from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, including ones that didn't have instruments that were you know, played on at this orchestra, and play them at this orchestra, which was composed like a set of traditional ensemble of instruments. So that meant that there were certain themes they played, and now we'll like segue into spoilers. So for those of you who don't want to know what they played there, please click away for this small little segment here. I understand. I'm going to talk about some of the things they played. They played, like, a great example of what I'm talking about. They played the Gungaga theme. And for those of you who played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, during the Gungaga theme, one of the most prominent aspects are the bagpipes that play in the background, right? Just so powerful and, like, amazing. And naturally, because there were no bagpipes in this orchestra, this is a pretty traditional orchestra, all the bagpipe moments from that song were largely played by flutists. And that's not a bad thing. It was, like, so cool to be able to hear a different rendition of a song that already meant so much to me from Rebirth. Because the Gungaga theme, just, it touched my soul. Like, just that scenario in the game in general, when you go through the jungles and all the, like, Zack illusions and all that kind of stuff. Oh my god, out of this world. I was so elated when they announced, when Arnie here announced that they would be playing the Gungaga stuff. And like I said, this dude was such a gem of a guy. Like, the way he was hyping up the themes that they'd play next was so sick. He was like, okay, we got a little extra something. Like, he knew how much the songs meant to everyone, so he's like, we're having a little fun, aren't we? Okay, well, are you guys ready for this? We're gonna play the Gungaga theme. And it was so cool how he hyped things up like that. Oh, the dude. And then again, we're in the spoiler section now, so now I'm gonna talk about the thing I was saying I wouldn't mention earlier. The stamp theme. They actually played the stamp theme, dude. And the choir, they even included the chanting from the theme, the bow wow wow. It was so freaking cool. And everyone was like laughing and having it. Like, it was largely everyone was quiet, but dude, I could not blame them. There were certain parts of this concert where people could not resist giggling because it was so playful and charming. Like when the bow wow wow started by the choir, I was like, dude, this is the greatest game of all time, the greatest orchestra of all time. Let's go. And then, of course, Queen's Blood as well. I think I mentioned they played that, right? Those are the two biggest surprises for me. Well, Queen's Blood less so, but definitely up there in terms of what they played. Because I anticipated they would play a lot of the really iconic tracks from Rebirth. So, you know, like Aerith's theme and No Promises to Keep and, you know, One Winged Angel and stuff, which I have some really cool stuff to share about that with you folks momentarily. But I was not anticipating some of these smaller fan favorite themes that were just very playful. So I'm so happy they were there. And the choir killed it. Dude, when they played Genova's theme, everyone, like even people who had never played Final Fantasy VII before, like they stood up and started clapping. Like my mom and my brother both turned to me and they were like, yeah, that was the best one in the entire, like, that was the best song they played the entire night. One thing that made me go, oh, this isn't even a criticism either, by the way, but it did make me go, oh, my soul hurts right now, but I understand. I totally 100% get it. Inevitably, when they perform No Promises to Keep, composed by the legend Uematsu and performed by, I apologize, I forget her surname, Lauren something, it showed clips of Aerith at the Loveless play, mouthing the words, in the game, naturally, you hear the vocals by Lauren. But the choir didn't perform the actual vocals, which I totally understand, because she has the voice of an angel. Can't be replicated. I completely 100% get it. But it was like, oh, it hurt my brain, because I was seeing them performing such a beautiful orchestral version of it, of No Promises to Keep. It sounded more like the date rendition of it towards the end of Rebirth. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, I won't elaborate on the actual gameplay itself for spoilers, game spoilers, but it sounded more like that. But seeing Era mouthing the words, I was like, oh, I could hear them so vividly in my head, the vocals. And it's interesting, I looked up whether it was like that for everyone, like if maybe some people had a performer come in to do the vocals and stuff, and apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently there are a select few concerts where if Lauren is in the area, she will show up and perform the vocals, which is super cool. I wish that was here, man. Oh, that would have taken a 20 out of 10 event to like a 21 out of 10. Or no, a 777 out of 10. A good 90 to 95% of this event, like, and this is my biggest commendation of it, by the way, and I have to reiterate this. It sounded, dude, exactly like what it did when I was playing the game, and I forgot that I was even in a live setting. I felt like I was playing the game again. I felt like I was playing 2.5 hours of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And as I was saying, at a certain point, the first like 20 to 25-ish minutes of this event, they were going chronologically with the game. So they started with the introductory credits of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the flashback, or not the flashback, but the all timeline stuff with Zack, and then they went into the Nibelheim flashback and Cloud going, oh, that was so good too. Cloud going up Mount Nibel with Sephiroth and Tifa, and in the game when I played it, it sounded so good and so touching, and like it was like, we finally made it, guys moment. Rebirth is here, and they recaptured that so goddamn well in the concert. So they were going chronologically, and then Cloud and Sephiroth made it up to the Materia Keeper, and they were like about to take him on, and then it like cut there, and I was like, no, dude, I would not mind sitting here for 70 hours just to see them do the whole game, right? Like I said at the start of this, I've never wanted something not to end more in my entire life. Speaking of which, we got to talk about another one of the highlights of this whole thing, which was towards the end. Oh, they saved the best for last. So they did a very long, elaborate sequence building up to One Winged Angel. But they didn't actually play it, and they cut. Like, they cut when you're fighting, and again, I don't want to say too much about the game. You're fighting a version of Sephiroth. And that's it. It just cuts at gameplay, and I was like, okay, well, that was interesting, though. And you heard a little leitmotif of, like, Estuan, Ninteris, but you didn't hear, like, the actual meat, like, One-Winged Angel, right? You heard, like, leitmotifs of the Latin chanting in this, like, huge, like, prelude to it, or preamble. And then they cut, and then the performers stood up, and everyone started clapping. We all stood up, because we thought it was done. And I was like, you know what? Like, that was still incredible, but dude, what happened to the classic One-Winged Angel? Like, I was a little bit, teensy tiny bit nervous. And then the stage turned red, and they sat down. They sat the hell back down, and so did we. And then, dude, One-Winged Angel, so fucking good, man. Estuan Interis Vida. Dude, I don't care that I'm singing and sound like an idiot. Sephiroth, like, it was there at the end. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Oh man. Somehow the choir sounded one-to-one exactly like the vocalists doing the Latin chanting in Sephiroth's theme, One Winged Angel. And then we thought it was done. So we stood up again, right? We stood up again after this encore. And then, dude, then we sat back down because they still weren't done. Like, we were clapping, huge ovation, all of that. Then we sat back down because they still weren't done. We're like, hold up. We're not done cooking yet. We're not done. We're not done yet. Sit your asses back down and drink your goddamn tea, right? They pulled a sit on us. And then they played, oh, so good. This event was perfect. They played Aerith's theme, right? And that's where, man, I didn't start bawling at any point, but if there was one moment during this entire thing where it was the hardest for me to hold back my tears, There were two, obviously. So the first one was like the very beginning with the, you know, the opening piece, Zach carrying Cloud. But at the end too, with Aerith's theme and then the credits, like, and they structured the credits of the event on the screen just like they were at the end of the game. They showed like images and like sequences on the left, like from the video game, and on the right the credits are going up of all the performers and stuff. And it took me right back to when I finished the game for the first time, and I was already so like emotionally touched and misty-eyed and all that kind of stuff. It was so good, man. They pulled 2 encores on us, not 1, 2, because you know what Barrett says, ain't no getting off this train we're on. And speaking of Barrett, dude, a couple other examples came to my head about some of the themes sounding very different from the way they were played in the game, because it's an orchestral arrangement, so it's just sound more epic, and I have to adjust my brain to that. One of my favorite themes from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the ascent up Mount Corel was there, and it sounded so epic. It was so cool. And the one before that, when like my favorite field theme, they played a lot of field music, by the way. I gotta talk about that when you're like exploring the open world. My favorite one, both in the original FF7 and Rebirth, is the Corel theme, like the Corel region, where it plays Holding My Thoughts in My Heart. It was so good. It was just so incredibly moving, as it is in every rendition of it. And the other one that was moving and so powerful at the same time, which was composed specifically for Rebirth and Remake. It's a song you brought from Remake, not the original, because it wasn't the original. You know where I'm going with this. Was Hollow. The main theme for Final Fantasy VII Remake, first composed by Nobuo Uematsu, so basically the No Promises to Keep for Remake. But that also got in Rebirth a instrumental version, and a really epic one, when you're exploring the wasteland around Midgar. I remember when I first got to that part of Rebirth itself, my mind was blown. And when they played that during the concert, I was like, I'm so happy right now that they're playing this. And it took me right back, and it was just as epic and majestic and as moving as I remember, because of all the Zack allusions, right? And all that shit. Oh, dude, this event was a fucking blast. It was so sick. I think one of y'all can go out on a limb here and say I really like this event, if you couldn't tell. It was so good. Just so good, man. And like I said, one of the greatest experiences of my life. These guys, absolute legends, every single one of them. Dude, this was so good that I feel empty. Honestly, I feel really empty. I was kind of like, I had post-concert depression. I didn't even know that was possible, because I never experienced it before. This is the greatest concert I've been to in my life. I experienced post-show depression. Like, this entire day today, I was driving past the station, because we took the train to go there. We didn't drive, because imagine driving downtown Toronto. We took the train, and I drove to the drive-thru today to get some food. And I looked at the trains, like, because the drive-thru I typically go to is across from the station, and I was looking at the trains coming and going. I felt sad, man. I was like, yesterday was so good, and I'm gonna cherish it forever, right? I wish I could turn back time and experience it all over again. I'm actually getting kind of emotional right now. I feel my eyes turning red, man. It really did feel like a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I'm just so grateful to have experienced, and that I'm just really grateful to my friend Tuzi, one of my best friends ever, Tuzi, for recommending and telling me about this. Essentially, he was like, orchestras are amazing, man, you gotta go. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm on it already, dude. Way ahead of you. Like, thank you so much for pointing this out to me. I probably would have seen it at some point in the grapevine, but I can't be sure. I owe it all to him, dude, for like the butterfly effect of it all. So Tuzi, if you're watching this, man, here we go. Bonus pictures. Bonus pictures. Not only was this my first time going to an orchestra, but it was also, believe it or not, right? This might come as a shocker to some of you. This is my first time seeing a cosplayer out in the wild. I have never been to any gaming convention in my life. I've never been to a gaming related event. Never. This is my first time going to anything video game related at all, like some kind of event. So naturally, there were a couple of cosplayers, and I did not anticipate that at all. Like, I can't believe I didn't expect that, right? Because I didn't know what the dress code would be like. I thought it would maybe be some people dressing like casually, some smart casual, some super formal, because it's an orchestra at the end of the day. I just, of course, donned an FF7 shirt, some nice pants, some nice shoes. I was like, yeah, let's call it a day there. I like it. I feel good. But no, there were some cosplayers and stuff, and this dude, like, look at this cosplay, man. He kind of knocked it out of the park. Like, not only was this my first time going to a orchestra and an FF7 wanted that, but this was my first time seeing a cosplayer and an FF7 wanted that, right? How cool is it that this is my first time seeing a cosplayer, my favorite game character ever? He kind of crushed it with this, man. He even got, like, his gait is amazing too, to get this posture off his Cloud, like Cloud's iconic Buster Sword holding posture. I loved it. I felt really awkward because I'm a really shy, anxious dude IRL. Like, I think the past hour of this stream of me just ranting and fanboying and talking about this event is more that I've said in, like, today in an hour than I have in the entire week. So when I saw this dude, I took, and I don't have this picture on my PC because I didn't upload it for the stream. This picture has anxiety written all over it. Hang on, I'm gonna show you guys. Like, my mom pointed him out to me and I was like, and I saw someone else take a picture with him and I'm like, I want a picture, but I don't. So, like, just for memory's sake, I'm gonna do this. And I just took, like, a candid picture of the guy and I'm like, we'll call it there, right? I'm gonna be old and gray at 80 and looking back at this and being like, I'm glad I got that. And then we went up the stairs to the mezzanine, but the door wasn't open yet. And the lady told us, oh, it's probably going to be another 10 minutes or so. So then my mom was like, I think it was my brother actually. He was, you know, you want to go might as well go take a picture with the dude. And so, yeah, this is the incredibly awkward, not because of this guy, definitely because of this guy, picture that resulted. And here's the final bonus picture. You guys ready for this? You know, I've been saying I have the best brother in the world, the best mom in the world, because of all the stuff we went over earlier on the stream. Mom reveal. I really do have the best mom in the world at the end of it all. Thursday afternoon is magical, and yeah, I'm just gonna carry the experience with me forever and always.